Discharge snow, big slip.
Well, then we all got one.
I just found the last one laying on the pile of stuff on my desk and threw it away just this morning. Oh, gee whiz, I can go on another
A receipt.
vacation.
A receipt, isn't that what it is? Receipt, yeah.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Nisswa Planning Commission Board of Adjustment Tuesday, October 6th, 2020 at 6 PM. Roll call, please.
Don
Just found
Jacobson.
the last.
Linda Gettleman.
Gary Harris.
Josh Young.
Robert Fear.
Mark Allen.
Maggie Wentler.
Brittany Cotner.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Next, to approve the meeting minutes for Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
So
Second, whatever.
Second by Gary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
They really like your minutes, Maggie. We were fighting over who was going to second it.
Next item is an open forum. Is there anyone present that would like to speak towards anything not on the agenda this evening?
I was asked to bring forth two inquiries from two separate individuals that couldn't be here tonight. One is our riprap ordinance states that no rocks may be larger than 9 inches. It has been requested by a resident that we take that into consideration, potentially changing to maybe up to a 12-inch regulation, just because 9 inches is not very large, especially for riprap. Is that something that you all would be open to considering, or would you prefer not to, or?
Do you know what history-wise, why it was set at 9 inches? Do you have any idea why that was?
I
None?
really don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem looking at it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
No,
I don't
12.
have a problem looking into it, but I would think that the Corps of Engineers or somebody has extensive research on what riprap to use, what size for what expected wind velocities, things like that. So let's look into it, but let's not
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel.
No, yeah. The other
No
question.
insult intended.
No. The other inquiry that I received was about telepresence therapy. There's an individual in town that is a certified therapist who would like to offer telepresence therapies. There would be no clients coming or going from the residence. So my question to you guys is, do we feel that needs an interim use permit? Do we feel, since there's no clients involved, it doesn't need one? It was kind of a gray area, so I thought I would toss it to you all.
Did you refer to that as telepresence?
Yep, it'll be all through webcam
Mhm.
or chat.
I mean,
And
how would we even know that she was there?
That was an argument I also
Yeah.
had considered, yes.
This is the kind of thing where you
I would say no.
apologize later instead of asking permission.
No IUP, just.
No.
Okay. That's all I have for the open forum though. Thank you guys.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, moving on to public hearings. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, first item is a variance application 013-20 to allow the construction of a dwelling 66 feet from a wetland where 100 is required. The subject property is located at 26383 Edna Lake Road, PID 280-30671, owner applicant John and Lori Miller. I see that you're both here.
Welcome back.
For the record, if you could, if you could come to the microphone and
John,
state your
John
name.
Laurie Miller, long time no see. Good to be back.
If I can
Yeah.
I did supply 2 different findings of facts on this application. I felt that there was an argument for both sides as with that jog in their shoreline, most of the house does meet the 100-foot setback. However, since that jog is there in the wetland, it creates that weird building envelope. There was also a side of it too that maybe it could be slid back further into the building envelope. So I just provided both to you.
Just so you guys know what we did, we tried to listen last week, hear your thoughts. We talked to our builder, went back to the survey and said, we know that we're not going to get approval from the city unless we slide back. So we asked to move back. We moved back about 40 feet or so from what I would call our beach area. From the wetland, that's 31 feet for a total of 66. In the envelope, but not all the way back next to the street. We just don't feel comfortable going all the way back and being back against Etna Lake Road. The move that we're asking for from the part of the lake that we use and can see is actually 150 feet from the high water line. So we're way back. Our plan is to take the deck off, so we'll have a patio, so that'll be less intrusive, if you will. So I think it's quite a considerable move, and it's hopefully something you guys will consider to approve.
Has your floor plan changed at all?
The floor plan has not changed on the exterior. There's a couple of tweaks that we'll make inside. Bathtub upstairs, and they neglected to put a bathroom on the first level for the main area, which we thought maybe would be a good idea, but the footprint itself is what we want to go with. And as you can see, the survey actually, the builder Lands End actually came and sent us this initially. And I thought it'd be more productive to actually have the surveyor plotted on the actual survey it said. So we had the survey redone.
Brittany, can you, so on the, I was a little confused on the two staff reports. Can you kind of give me the differences?
The big difference is really item 3, where it discusses the practical difficulties. I do believe that the shape of the shoreline does constitute a practical difficulty. It's really at this point weighing how much we consider that plays into the layout of the property.
And I think for those of you that, most of you had come out for, a walkthrough on our spot, and the actual wetland will remain undisturbed off to the left. I mean, that is not anything that we've ever kind of done anything with. It's wild, and we're going to continue with that.
Yeah.
So I think, like John had said, we're really from the high water mark, 150 feet back at this point
From the beach area.
from the beach. Yeah.
When you say to the left, you're saying to the basically south.
Yeah, where it jogs in, Bob, I feel comfortable, and I've talked to a couple neighbors that we've been there 31 years. I think there's erosion that has gone back in that. When I thought before we engaged with Brittany, I talked to the county about wetland, assuming that it was a county issue, not a city issue. And they said they do change over time. So I think that wetland has come into our property, and we have no problem pushing back. It's just, I don't want to build next to the road.
Right.
And we've got I think we've got a pretty large piece of property, given the 150 feet straight through. Maybe I did skip over the easement thing. Did everybody get their answer on that? The drawing, the lines and we
It's
looked
just
at
the
last
drawing.
week.
Just a
It's
measurement.
part of the drawings. There's no easement.
Yeah, those are dimension lines.
Yep.
Dimension
Yeah.
lines, exactly.
Yeah.
A little harder to see on the small version, but on the full size, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I didn't see it until I looked at the larger version,
Yeah.
so thank you for including that in the package. So, and we heard, we had any input from neighbors as the city?
No
Not
comments.
pro or con?
No.
Just- You've talked with the
We've talked
neighbors?
to our neighbors, and they love the design, and they hope that we can get it approved.
Okay.
I guess my thoughts are, even when you were in for the first one, I thought that you had a unique property where it would have warranted a variance, in my opinion. Just because you would had to do so much excavation on the top side. And I think it would have done more ecological damage to the wetland, if that's what we're concerned about, by taking out all the trees and having to do all the dirt moving. So to be honest with you, I would approve the first one. So.
Well, we understand compromise is not a
Yep,
bad
and
thing, and a little further back is probably a good idea. I mean, I'd ideally like to move back to that original thing, but we don't need that.
Yeah, I think the building, whoever builds, I'm not sure who he had contracted to build it. I'm sure they'll put in a silt fence and all the
Oh, yeah.
precautions that you need in order to build a bio-wetland anyway. So.
But when you look at this aesthetically, moving it back, you're living, your life is lived on the lakeside,
Yeah,
on the house. And the livable area, the usable area in your backyard is is increased significantly by.
We've
the
thought
road,
about
so.
that, Gary, that where our footprint is right now will be an area that we can socialize and
Yeah,
have yard
yeah,
games.
yeah, I think
things
this
like
is
that.
this is a good improvement, so.
I think it's a very good faith effort, and you are limited by the land, and you're not asking for a variance to go closer to the lake. You just
No.
can't meet the 100 feet within practical limits, in my opinion.
Any thoughts down the line?
No, I think it looks good, the new layout. I'm glad that you came out this way.
Just as a minor note, I know that this is going to be an issue with the septic system. It's 30 years old anyway, so we'll add that as we go. Obviously, they have that approved when we have to make a change to that. So that's, I know we've got a lot of land, so they'll figure that out. I think it can actually go right where, we're sliding the house to a little bit to the south, and there'll be plenty of room for the septic and drain field.
Good.
There's no more questions. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd move to, that we approve the variance of the findings of, according to the findings of fact. Staff recommends the plan commission adopt the findings of fact prepared by staff and approve variance application 013-20 and be approved.
Did you want any conditions added? Did you want any conditions added? I didn't include any since they were starting over with a new house. So there wasn't like color match or anything.
No,
We don't have to have them.
no, I have no
Excellent.
conditions to my motion.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, first by Gary, second by Linda. All those in favor?
All right,
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
good work.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to close the public hearings.
Second,
Thanks, Brady.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, new business, the Schaus ordinance draft discussion.
Yes. As you all are aware, we've had the Schaus trend entering the city. This is just our first draft. I'm still open to if there are different things you'd like to see. This is something that Don and I came up with together, and we did get some feedback. There was also a consideration of instead of having the 150%, just having it be no more than, say, 50% of your house, just same percentage, just different breakdown. I'm open to feedback, though.
Brittany, a question?
Yeah.
If this passed and someone came in and was requesting I'll call it a garage. It says an attached garage. What if it's not an attached garage, but it's still huge? How would you look at that?
Then that's under the accessory structure ordinance. So it has to be under the 2,500 cumulative square feet for all accessory structures on the property.
Mhm.
So that would include boathouses, sheds, all that stuff.
Everything.
Yep.
Okay.
And then just for clarification, it does specify in our code that it's considered attached if it's connected by a breezeway less than 10 feet, just for clarification.
I don't know if any of you have gone by the place that kicked this off, but it's 110,400 roughly square feet of a
On Jibbo
structure.
Road?
Pardon?
On a Jibbo Road? or-
No,
Nashway.
Nashway.
9,000 square feet.
Yeah, on a 1 acre lot. And I've had more neighbors call up and stop over and talk to me about it. They can't understand how this ever got through to begin with. And I had to explain to them that the ordinance didn't cover it. Hopefully, if this passes and goes through, it would prevent that from happening in the future. But Mr. Young lives right in back of it, so he can see it from his back window too. It's huge.
I sent a note to Brittany about this. When about the 150%
Yeah.
number, and of the living area. Now, I'm assuming by living area, we're talking about the footprint of the house.
Yep.
That's a gigantic number. And I don't think it should be over 50% because, even at 50%, you build a 2,000 square foot house, you got a 1,000 foot garage.
Right.
That's that's like heaven to most guys, 1,000 feet. So 3,000, I mean, it just goes up 50, those are huge garages. It just seems like that 150% is just way over the top to me.
What's a one stall dimension to you for a recreational garage? What's a one stall to you? 30 by 15 or what?
Yeah, one stall, 30 by 12 to 15, yeah.
So it's,
But I mean, the standard two-car garage is about 350 to 400 square feet, 20 by 20.
so if someone,
You know?
lake garage with toys, it could be 30 by 45 then.
Yeah.
So 1,500 square feet.
And I think if you've got a 2,000 square foot house is probably a small one these days on what we're talking, the properties we're talking. So you got a 4,000 square foot house and you got 2,000 square feet of garage. I mean, you're going to have a pretty good collection of vehicles and toys in there. So I just,
What I brought up to Brittany was the luxury garages at BIR. I don't know what their exact percentage is, but that's kind of geared towards, people that want to have a larger garage. And I think there's a way to do it and make it look nice. Cause I think part of Don and I's question about this whole thing is, it's a machine shed that's in a half-acre lot. It's kind of the main theme. I think that was our biggest problem. I mean, if it looked nice, I wouldn't care how big a garage they had, That's all I thought of.
The example, is this going to be a steel-sided building?
It is.
It is a steel set.
It's a pole barn.
Do we want to
But this is-
regulate that there's no steel siding, or I think that's also something that just with my phone calls I've been getting, it seems to be a reoccurring theme is people don't want to look at the steel sided buildings.
how many people are going to have a steel sided house? I mean, we're talking about an attached garage here. So I mean, it's,
There's a way around it.
yeah.
There is some north of town here that are, normal house type buildings that have steel siding.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's ways
Sure.
of doing it.
Right.
I'm not bad mouthing steel siding, but I'm talking about a rusty building, that's,
I think what we
old
were
farm
thinking,
building. I mean, that's,
what we were thinking about when we put this together is that people come up here, they do have some toys, they have boats, RVs, trailers, and you don't want to be so restrictive that they can't park anything and not
Right.
giving them any space. That's why we came up with 150%. Now, whether you think that's number is too big, that's another question, but there are people up here, I'm sure you go around, you'd find a lot of good sized ones. It's just, this prevents the huge ones.
well, I realize that, but I mean, we're still talking, I mean, that's just, to me, that's a ridiculous number, 150%.
Well, to me, it's more than ample. It's going to allow a four-stall garage attached to a reasonable sized home. And I think it's very ample. I'm fine with the number. am concerned about the steel siding thing. I'd like to see some, considering it's attached to a residence, I would like to see some type of guidance within it for far siding. If it's part of a home, which, if you're building across the street and it's just, standalone building, that's a different story.
Yeah,
Then build your pole barn.
yeah.
Just don't want to wait for somebody to say, oh, yeah, there's a house in there. It's actually never going to be a house. It's a little workshop or something.
Yeah,
But we have the permitting process, we have architectural controls on the housing, do we not?
on the siding or what? do
No,
you-
on the house, yeah, and what the house looks like from outside.
We don't regulate the outside aesthetics on residentials at all.
Mark's here. Yes, you are. I guess you certainly are considered an expert in housing and garage sizing and utility for people. What would be your opinion, just off the record, on something like that? Although we are on the record, I guess, but.
I would say, because of the nature of our, in a normal environment, because it's a broken neighborhood, I'd say 150 square feet. I mean, 150% is excessive. But here where you have boats and you have jet skis and you have golf carts and you have, this is a recreational environment. And, the utility that is, the option then is to have someone construct more storage buildings, which I think we have enough of in our city. So that we have all these storage lockers all over the place. And I really have,
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say right now, just listening, this is the technicality is it of the square foot of the house or is it of the footprint of the house? Is that?
Well, that's why I asked the question before, if it was footprint or,
Yep, I'll have to add that language.
I think footprint is easier, it's easier to control because you
Yeah.
can see it on your plans when they come in, but, and I'd be willing to, to be more in favor of this, at least if it equaled the size of the structure. So we're talking 100%,
Okay.
I think I could go to sleep on that.
Kind of off topic, what is the enforcement mechanism? So if it's 150% of the living area, how do you ensure that that is what's happening after it's completed? Is there a post-inspection? And if so, what are the ramifications if they just ignore it and just do whatever they want?
Then they have to go through the legal ramification process. We don't do after construction inspections. I'm working on that. I'm hoping to get that changed. But right now we don't. Basically what happens is they're gonna have to submit to us a floor plan with everything outlined. And then if anything comes back that it's not as they presented, then they run the risk of us telling them, you have to apply for an after the fact variance. If it doesn't qualify for a variance, you have to tear it down. It would go through us, then the council, then the attorney, then the courts. So, I mean, it would be a long process. I don't want to say it's going to be easy, but I'm hoping that we can get some before and after inspections rotated in though, or make it our policy.
I'd love to see, I'm part of a larger community before I moved here, and we had active construction inspections, as you call. I'd like to see some language to that, but maybe initially with the that it could be waived at the discretion of the city.
Yeah.
I just think it's the earlier you intervene, once you've built it and it's done and lawyers and everything involved, I mean, what are you gonna do? Tear down the house? I mean, spend tens of thousands of dollars on lawyers. So I'm a big fan of vetting the prints and then having so we used to call it TCO. There was active inspection points, and then we had temporary certificate occupancy and final. And I think at some point in the process, it'd be neat that there was an inspection point and a sign up required.
Yep.
But initially, this could be waived by the city's discretion. That's just my 10 cents on it.
What is your guys' feelings to Gary's point of moving it to 100% instead of the 150?
Me personally,
Well, all of you.
I'm most comfortable with 150,
Okay.
considering all the toys. There's people with 2 cars, snowmobiles, pontoon, wakeboard boat, and then they want to shop. And I can give you a dozen examples
Yeah.
tomorrow for that. It sounds excessive, but these are people with an abnormal amount of toys. It's
Yeah.
more than just 2 cars.
Yeah.
And now we're adding golf cart storage base, which is going to be real popular in 2 years.
Josh?
I don't have an opinion one way or another versus 100 or 150. I don't, and for me, it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Linda?
I'd like to see a smaller percentage,
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
I think 150 is too much.
Don?
Well, we didn't want to run into trouble on the city council where they would say that we're being too restrictive too. I thought 150, but I could go 125, I suppose. Leave it at that.
Well, you meet him in the middle. That's very nice
Meet
of
'em in the
you.
middle.
Jeez. We already met in the middle.
The way I looked at my 150% is I was saying whether it's a 2,000 square foot house or 3,000, there's some people who are going to want a 4-car garage, extra deep. And so that's why for the smaller house in the 2,000 square foot range, and still want that 4-car garage. That's how I like Don's initial number. Yeah, it's large, but I'd much rather have it nicely designed rather than detached pole barn, sitting on the property or stuff sitting outside.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have.
Yeah.
People are coming up here spending, what are we spending now? $600,000, the median price for your new development? A little more. God, it goes up every week. So that's where I come from.
Okay. I've said my piece. I prefer them. At this point, I've moved to 100%. That's what I would like to see it at.
Well, I will present 100% and 150% next week at the public hearing, and then I will just let you guys debate it out and make the decision from there.
Get customer input. Get the word out.
I'll just offer, you might want to decide too,
Yeah.
when you say of the footprint area.
Yep,
Okay, but I'm just gonna use the Miller's policy. So they have this 91,000 10 square foot garage, and they have a first floor footprint of 1,540. They have an upper level. So is that footprint going to be the first floor footprint, or if somebody decides,
Yeah.
if you build, like somebody, well, I actually rode the bike all the way around Hubert Lake on Sunday.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw what they're building. Well, with the height of that, you could build 2 stories of living area. So that percentage is going to be based on
just the flat,
just above the
Yeah,
first floor.
two-dimensional.
I should
Yeah.
be specific.
Designate first floor.
Yep, because somebody could very say, well, no, I've got 850 square feet here on the floor, 850, so it's 1,700 square feet. 1,700 then is times either 100 or 150%.
I appreciate the feedback. I will make sure to make those amendments as well.
Okay?
Yeah, it's real tricky. The people have multi-layers, multi-level first floors, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good clarification. Thanks, Mark.
Any other discussion on the shelves?
That'll be at the next meeting.
Correct, yep.
Okay.
I'll make sure to put it on public hearing as well, so we can make an official. Okay.
Is there a way we can really get that out to the people that are gonna build these things, the Norsons and the other people? I don't know. Are we, because this is an important ordinance to me.
Yeah, there,
I just
I've
wanna make
had,
sure that other than the city website, it really gets out there.
yeah, I'll do it the best I can. It goes in the paper, the city website, chamber, it goes out a number of different ways. And I've had personal conversations with a number of contractors because this is something that, like I said, it's not going away. Just since the last meeting, I think I've had 6 inquiries on building these, so it's not going away.
Love to see them show up, representative,
Yep,
next time.
I'll make sure to get it
It's
out
been
to the
on
big
for a long time.
construction though.
Are we going to hold off on some of these permit requirements or approvals before we have this ordinance done? Or are you
We
going to?
legally can't.
Okay.
But as of now, I don't have any active applications. I've had a few people inquire and I explained to them that it's being considered to change, but this is what it is now.
Get a move on.
The council could make the change this week, right?
Well, yeah, if you have the
Public.
hearing next month and we send it over to the council for their approval, they could change it on the spot if they wanted to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's, what I thought. So, I mean, it can happen relatively quickly.
Yeah.
You'll have a little bit more time with winter coming as well.
6 months.
All right, adoption of Crow Wing County short-term rental ordinance.
So this has been something that's been coming down the track for, I mean, pretty much since I got here. I think it was starting right about that time. I presented to you 2 different options. The second one is the one that our attorney recommends that we include. The first one is the one that I personally prefer because I worry that by taking the entire ordinance and putting it into our ordinance, it's going to create confusion among people who are trying to make inquiries or get the permitting or get the licensing or making complaints or whatever. By simply putting that this is Crow Wing County's kind of, it's their thing, this is where you go to, I think it's much cleaner. He didn't say that it was wrong, it's just this is what he recommended.
I like your comment about it being a county thing.
And they do everything, the enforcement, the licensure, everything. So it's
Yeah.
pretty much off our hands at that point.
Yeah.
I did have 4 people write in comments. 3 were for eliminating the regulations and 1 was against. I anticipate once this goes to public hearing, we'll get dramatically more comments, but at this time, that's what we have.
I think we have a resort and campground, and Mark probably has the same type of deal. From my perspective, we have to deal with just a whole host of regulations from Department of Health, Department of Labor and Industry from the state and the county, and it just wasn't a real fair deal for us to have to go through all these rigmaroles of regulation, and then the next door neighbor could kind of do whatever they want. So I appreciate that the county did undertake it.
Yeah.
I guess my question for you is, you had said there's 2 different, you wanted to have it a little bit different. Can you detail exactly what you were?
Yeah,
referring
the
to?
shorter one basically gets rid of our usage chart. So right now it limits it by 3, so we get rid of that. And then we would basically just add in this little blurb saying, this is through Crow Wing County, this is how it works. The one that the city attorney wanted us to include in the ordinance is, gosh, 3 or 4 pages long. And that's the entire ordinance that the county put together. I just worry that we'll get phone calls and then I hate being that person when you get a phone call, it's, oh, you got to call the county. My goal is that once you call me, I can help you. I don't want to play the phone tag. So that's my goal with doing this one as opposed to the long one.
I like the first one.
Yeah,
It's kind of the KISS principle, you know.
Yep.
Keep it simple, stupid.
yep.
I certainly do too. I had some questions about some terms in here. Should I wait for down the road? It's not that.
It's up to you, or if it's something that, do you want to,
Well, clarifications, maybe
Yeah.
somebody else has it too.
yeah,
Page 2, point D, clarification. So if one rents 1 month or more, the ordinance doesn't apply?
correct, because then you are leasing.
Okay.
Yep.
Next page, page 3, point 3.5.
Mhm.
I have a hard time, because I'm one of those weird engineers, hard time with the phrase "any reasonable time."
Mhm.
Why not just say that they have to give access to all permitted units within so much notification, whether it's 1 hour or 6 hours?
Right.
I mean,
This is the county's ordinance too, so
Okay.
this isn't, we can't make changes to it.
okay.
I
Okay,
mean, we can
can't
be more
make changes?
restrictive, but
Okay, let's move on then.
Okay.
I'm just making for the record, my personal experience
Yeah.
being a resort user and living in the HOA that rents. Page 5, 5.3 noise. During the summer, my experience is there's no difference between a weekday and a weekend when you're coming up to the resort. So saying that on Friday and Saturday night, you gotta be quiet between midnight and 7 makes a lot of sense, but I don't think there's any difference for the rest of the days of the week. So backing it up to 10 PM, 2 hours for a Monday through Thursday or Sunday through Thursday, I don't think is, it's not realistic. We're not in the cities here. When people come up here, they're the resort people, it's why they're up here.
yeah,
Every day's the same. And I don't have any real fish in the game. I don't rent my unit or anything. Let's see. Enforcement, page 6. And again, there's another phrase there. It says complaints within a reasonable period of time. I'd love to see that specified a little bit more. And I just want to comment then on 6.3, where they have fines for false reporting. I'm glad Mark's in the audience, because he's got some residential people right next to his resorts that probably make a little trouble now and then. But I think 100, 150 for the second and $1,000 fine for the third is pretty low in some respect for the
Yeah.
first and second. That's just me. I think that it's just like saying anonymous sources. I don't like those words.
the problem is if we change anything in this ordinance, everything falls onto us. We have to do the enforcement, the licensing, everything,
I'm just,
which we absolutely can. I'm not saying we can't. It's just something to consider. If we change anything, it's not the county's ordinance anymore, it's ours.
that's all I have to say. I just wanted
Oh, yeah.
to share my opinion with my fellow P and Z people, and maybe they, for whatever it's worth. I'm not advocating that
No, yeah,
we lobby the county, but it's something that's needed, but this is a very tricky, this one's gonna get a lot of attention.
yep, absolutely. It took them over a year to write it, so I don't anticipate this is the final version either. I anticipate some amendments within the next 2 years, I would guess.
That maybe brings up another, I'm sorry, Dawn, another question that if we adopt what Crow Wing County has within our ordinance, how do we keep it updated?
That's another question too. That's another reason why I like the simple, this is, go to them, they have the updated, they have the right version.
They're also, by doing that, they're in charge of enforcing it, right?
Yep,
Right.
correct, yep.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, that will save us a lot of time and money.
I hate to see you 4 times a week out of Grandview,
Mr. Chair, question for Brittany. If this is adopted for our city, would you anticipate it would bring in more of this activity or less or the same?
I think that more of it will come out of the woodwork. When I was at the meeting with all the county townships and cities discussing this with Bill Brecken, we did a search just to see at this, we were in Breezy Point, just Breezy Point, how many are listed? And we had multiple hundred. And then we, of course, brought up, well, how many are licensed? None. So, or it was very few. I don't remember the exact number. It was basically none. Just out of fun, I've done the same thing in Nisswa. We have hundreds and I have 2 that are permitted.
One sitting here.
Yep, Mr. Ritter has, he provided the packet.
There too.
Yep, the one with the pictures involved, that's Mr. Ritter's there. But are you guys, from what I'm hearing, you want to move forward with adopting and move to a public hearing and all that? Linda, did you have something to say? I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
I agree with the Crow Wing County handling it. That's the best way. If they're going to enforce it, go for it. Yeah.
We want to have our own ordinance in the future. We can always do that, you know.
Absolutely.
All we got to do
Yes.
is come up with a new one. But I think for now, that's,
At first blush, it's probably good.
yeah, I think that's the only way, I think it's the only way to do it now. Let's go. with-
Brittany, are
Just
you going to
refer
put
to
this
the
on the
city.
agenda as next month?
Yep, for public
Okay.
hearing, yep.
Good.
Okay, I will do that. And I guess it's my report, huh? Oh, no, we have commissioner trainings. So a little background on this is in our ordinance, we have to do trainings every year for our commissions. With COVID, it's kind of thrown a wrench in all this. And I tried reaching out to some other cities to kind of figure out what they've done. And they kind of said, if you come up with any ideas, let me know. So I decided that we're going to watch a couple YouTube videos on making motions and amending motions, just because we are a newer commission and Robert's rules sometimes are a little finicky. So that's what our trainings will be.
So can we back up a stage here, back to
A wrench in all
this?
this. What's that? And I tried reaching out to some other cities to kind of figure out what they've done. And they kind of said, if you come up with any ideas, I'm sorry, what was that, Gary?
I was just wondering if we could just back up just a second back to
Yeah.
this, what we were talking about
Absolutely.
and your package that's in here.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, do you have a
Can I step
prop?
up here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm Jeff Ritter, own 4633 Birch Ridge. We bought our place in October and plans for our family to use it and then do some short-term rentals.
Yeah.
I do have a permit based on one of my neighbors actually pointed out that I was renting. No concerns with my renters in any way. They were just, concerned that we were renting our property through VRBO. I actually spoke to everyone who owns a house around me and not a single person has a problem with what we're doing.
Yeah.
Our goal is basically full 1-week rentals, families only. There's a lot of concern with these rentals that somebody's going to put, daily rentals and have parties and trash houses. But, my biggest piece is, I think I heard one of you guys had said, the prices on Gull Lake, you can't afford a house out there. So the average person can't come up here, and enjoy the water, in July. July's, rental rates are $4,000 to $5,000 a week to get on the water. So renting homes kind of gives that second, option for people to come out and actually get to enjoy the area. So we've really loved it. A lot of great families. We've got people that come up. We have people come up from Nebraska. We had a family that actually canceled at Grandview. They were afraid of COVID. So they said we wanted to stay at, somewhere else. They ended up using some of Grandview's facilities. So it's a win-win, for both sides. But, our first year has been amazing. All the notes we get in our guest book really show the area and really show the warmth that the community provided
No,
to them.
I understand fully what you're saying. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's a nice package and congratulations. I
Yeah.
think what you're doing is great. I have one simple question.
Yeah,
Do you have a problem with adhering to the Crow Wing County
I
ordinance?
do not. I've talked to, it's a guy at Crow Wing,
Doug?
Doug, maybe, it might be. I talked to him for about an hour and I really like what he's
Okay,
doing.
so you're okay with all
Yeah,
this?
I
Okay.
have no problem with it being regulated. I
Okay.
think it should be. I think there should be checks and balances. Somebody shouldn't just be, out there just doing whatever they want because there's risk to the neighbors, there's risk to the community.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
having those checks and balances is
Yeah.
important.
I appreciate the input. Thank you.
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
Clarification.
yeah,
First of all, my background's an engineer and businessman,
yeah.
but kind of a legal question here. Define to me what a family is to you in your contract.
in a family.
You say you rent to families only?
Yeah, well, I guess it's just a term, it's just people that, have gotten away with coming up for a vacation, so we usually have 8 to 10 people that come and stay with us. So family, friends, guests,
So I'm thinking back like 50 years ago when I was
Yeah.
in college. We used to rent a resort every spring and we put, 10 fraternity brothers in a cabin.
Yep.
You would screen them out.
yes, I would. Yep.
And you vetted this and successfully do this with your
Yeah.
by fire, or have you talked to a lawyer? I'm just curious.
No, so VRBO, when you use that rental, you can choose if you want to rent to them or not. It's fully insured. So VRBO actually has over $1 million policy on my home. I also have $1 million policy on my own. But I have the right to say yes or no if somebody's going to stay with me. Obviously, there's regulations there. But if I'm, and since I'm renting for a week, most people aren't going to rent a house for a week. My minimums are, usually 7 nights in the summer only. So, but that's me, people are going to kind of do their own way. And
Well, you answered the question well. You're using VRBO.
Yep.
Their litmus test and their lawyers have done this. That's one reason for using them.
yeah, I can, they don't give you any guidance to why you could cancel or how. It's literally, it's literally strictly your opinion on, who's renting. And a lot of it's friends and family from our standpoint that use our place. It's not a lot of those rentals anyways, but.
Some advice for your property.
Yeah,
Liability is always a thing with us.
Yep.
I would highly recommend that if you had your property in your name, that it should be in an LLC.
okay.
Just as an aside, just for your own information.
Yeah, I've got 2 policies, one through VRBO, one through my insurance, and they actually have riders on the insurance that allow it to be rented. But that's a good follow-up. We're new to this,
Yeah.
it's been really enjoyable to kind of enjoy it up here and, give a chance. But I think the Crow Wing County one is definitely one to consider, so. Thank you for letting me speak.
Okay,
It's
thanks.
great.
So we're having technical difficulties. I will just email you the links, apparently. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on with the audio.
So there's YouTube videos that we watch. And,
Yep. And they're like 4 minutes each. I'll make sure to email them out to you first thing in the morning.
Yeah, give those to us and we'll watch them.
Yeah. Sorry about that,
Do you
guys. I'm
want
not sure.
confirmation when we've completed them?
You're gonna get a quiz next night?
Yep. It's going to be really hard. 90 questions. No.
with a ruler.
You get a free candy bar.
There you go.
Is it take home?
No. Verbal.
And no Google. Okay.
All right, we have no old business, planning and
I have
zoning
a question. I have a
administrator.
question.
Go ahead.
At the last meeting, there was a request for an easement vacation up along Lake Hubert.
Mhm.
And I think that we had decided that we did not agree with the vacation as a commission. But that was based upon, did the vacation go all the way to the water or not? If I remember correctly. Have you determined whether it goes to the water or not before we go to the council with it?
I thought the council already voted on it. It goes all the way to water.
Mm,
Yeah, no, it goes all the way to water. That's what it's platted for.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay,
All right, planning and zoning administrators report.
In the last month, we've had 18 permits, 5 of which were new dwellings. Next month, that number will probably be a little higher. We've had quite a housing boom. Specifically, the Pine Trail Homes development is booming right now. We did have 1 new violation that has since been rectified. So right now, we don't have any active violations. That should be it, unless you all have any questions.
Pine Trail Homes is doing really well, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Impressive.
Definitely.
yeah, quite a few
It'll be nice
homes.
to see that developed.
Yeah.
Has
Nice
there
lots.
been any movement with Rusty's development to the north here? I haven't
Yep.
been over there.
They've had, I believe they've had 2 permits as well, in the last 6 to 8 months, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Get another permit to do this one. Because I saw Rusty in there.
Yep, I think he did.
I had one question for you.
Yeah.
Permit number LUP-20-075.
Mhm.
It's for the boardwalk over wetland.
Yep.
Anytime you start messing with the wetland,
Mhm.
doesn't it require state involvement?
No, if it's a boardwalk, it falls to the LGU, but if it's anything that's altering the actual contents of the ground or the water or anything like that, then it falls to WACA permitting.
Even though this is permanent, it's 12 months a year.
Yep.
Well, I'm not putting in a dock, I'm putting in a boardwalk on my new place. Thank you. Learned something.
Yeah, we're doing something like that too.
Just make sure you get a permit.
You'll be the first to know.
Perfect.
Does this particular boardwalk we're talking about, does that have posts that actually go down into the wetland
Yep,
and they're permanent?
yep,
Yeah, that's why it surprised me.
yeah.
I'm surprised at that.
It's
Okay.
one of the very few ways that they're allowed to cover a
Remember
wetland.
that, Bob?
But I did work with our wetland specialist on that just to make sure that there were no other issues.
Who is the wetland specialist?
Katie, oh, I'm gonna forget her last name, I'm sorry. It's a different one, but she works through Crow Wing County, but she's a wetland. She focuses on wetlands.
Okay. She's not like connected with the DNR or something like that?
No, I did check with the DNR as well, just to cover all my bases, but they basically said it's not us.
Yeah, they won't say. Okay. Any additional commissioner questions and comments?
I just wanted to mention that, I think I mentioned it at a couple of meetings ago, that I was going to be part of a webinar in September, and it was September 21st, which was put on by the Office of Collaboration and Dispute Resolution, called Bridging Divides. And it was a 3-hour webinar. It was excellent. It was facilitated by a gentleman who happens to be the mayor of Circle Pines, but he also works for OCDR. And it was great. And I pre-printed off, it was 40 pages that went along with his PowerPoint presentation. And very timely with what was going on with the city council and sort of the disputes going on with that, how to handle yourself as a commissioner and listening to people. And when there are folks that get up in front and sort of lose it and dominate an issue, how to really listen. And that was my number one takeaway, was listen, then learn, then lead. And this whole thing is going to be online. They're going to have it as YouTube available. If anybody wants to watch it, I'm going to find out what the link is and I'll shoot
Yeah.
it through you, because, on a weekend, if you want to watch it or something, zoom through it. But it was really, really well done.
Excellent. Thank
Bridging
you.
Divides.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you for sharing that.
I'd like to share.
I like
Yeah.
Brittany.
I look
Yeah.
forward to that link. That will be
Yeah,
excellent.
I will. I'll get that too.
Anything else? We're good? All right. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Bob. All those in favor?
Hi,
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
record time tonight, guys.
47 minutes.
I like the fake complaints that they have. We have